Not only are the Miami Dolphins coming to town tomorrow, but we also have the college football playoffs well underway. Could the Jets' future quarterback be playing his final college game right now? We're about to talk about it, so let's get fired up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate you all as always. And very quick, before we get into it, a quick message.
Listen up! All you incredible people out there looking at your computers, looking at your phones, make sure you like and subscribe to Rickie New York, baby! Jets! Jets!
All right, guys. At any rate, yes, the Dolphins are coming to town tomorrow. Before I get to that, I want to talk a little college football. College football playoffs have begun. Conference championships are going on as we speak. I moved the time of tonight's show from 8 to 7 because I figured everybody's going to want to watch Mendoza versus Ohio State. I know that I personally am. The more I thought about it, I was like, I really want to be able to pay attention to that game and dissect what's going on. And I wasn't thinking about the fact that other college games would be going on earlier. Any of you who are big Ty Simpson fans and wanted to get a good look at him, I'm sorry. Alabama is getting whooped right now. Almost as bad as Florida State whooped them the first game of the year. The last time I checked, they had 0 points. So there have been no Ty Simpson touchdowns to look at or appreciate. Valerie, good to see you. Hep, good to see you. Bill M, as always, a pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. 25. Oh, okay. They scored. Alabama actually scored a touchdown. Okay. I will go back and rewatch that game because, there's their center, Parker Brailsford, defensive tackle Christian Miller. There's some players on Georgia that I want to watch. Also a few players on Alabama too. So I will go back and watch that game later. But the main game that I want to watch tonight is naturally Indiana and Ohio State. But also at 8 o'clock, the ACC championship. Virginia, who I could give a crap about, is playing Duke. And anybody who hasn't watched them yet, Darian Mensah is a very interesting quarterback prospect. I was considering him, like maybe if Mendoza's gone, maybe if the top guys are gone, we could get him later. Then I heard that when he signed his NIL deal, it was actually for 2 years. So he still has a year remaining. And I'm thinking, well, damn, there's a reason he could stay in school. However, thinking about it a little bit further, the NFL rookie money is about $7 million a year more than what the NIL money would be paying him. So right there's 7 million reasons that he can decide to come out this year. And if next year's quarterback is really as loaded as everybody says, then he could fall even further down in the quarterback rankings. I have a feeling that Mensah is going to come out. To me, he reminds me a lot of Chad Pennington. And right now, I would take that. This team is desperately in need of a quarterback. It is no mystery. For those of you who said, oh, we should have kept Aaron Rodgers, let me tell you something. After their last loss, Aaron Rodgers started calling out teammates. The red line has resurfaced. Receivers are running the wrong route. Amazing. However, things happen to go wrong with a team that he's on, It is always somebody else's fault. And this just kind of, highlights the fact why the Jets made the right move getting rid of him. Pittsburgh Steelers, as of right now, 27th in the league in total yards, 24th in passing yards. And Aaron Rodgers ranks 27 out of 31 qualifying quarterbacks with a QBR of 40.5. And for those of you who are not familiar with QBR, that's not good. That is not good. So all you Aaron Rodgers fans out there, man, yeah, we should have kept him. It would have been worth 2 more wins and a much worse draft spot just to be able to see him on McAfee every week saying how it was everyone else's fault but his. God, you know what? I am so glad that that circus is over with and that shit is somebody else's problem right now. No, we haven't had a great year, but you know what? We're building something good here. And we're finally starting to see the results. It took a lot longer to start shaping up than what I thought it would, than what I would have preferred. But we are actually starting to see some progress. And that gives me hope. I think Aaron Glenn is molding this team into his image. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Any of you who are on Twitter have probably seen the clips going around this week of Aaron Glenn talking to his guys on the sideline. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. It's so much different listening to an actual NFL football player, coach, talk to the players, as opposed to a guy that learned what he knows out of a book. It's just such a difference. And, dude, you know what? I think that in all fairness, it was a rough start, but I really believe this team is headed in the right direction and we have the right coach. I really do. It's just the whole thing feels different to me than say last year or previous years. I don't want to go off on a big tangent about that. Let's talk about the Dolphins. All you guys know, I live in Florida, so I am around Dolphins fans all the time, and they suck. I cannot stand the Dolphins. I cannot stand their fans. Dolphins fans are like Cowboys fans. They go around talking like they've been in the playoffs every year. Like they talk like they're still relevant. The Dolphins stink. Okay. Myself, Clancy, Johnny Boy, there's a few of us from here in our community. They're in my fantasy league, which in my fantasy league, we have defensive players. Absolutely love it. That's the way I started playing fantasy. That's the way I've always played. Like I didn't know there was a different way for quite a while, believe it or not. And when I first heard that there was a league where people just picked the whole defense, I was like, what kind of pussy shit is that? Like that's terrible. You know what? Defensive players, you get a point per tackle. You get 4 points per sack. You get 3 for forced fumble recovery, interception. It's just more ways to score. It makes it more fun. And it also weeds out all the casuals because if you don't know both sides of the ball, you're not going to fare very well in a league like mine. So everybody involved, they know what they're doing, and it makes it more competitive. As I was looking at the free agent waiver wire the last couple of days, I noticed that the highest available defensive back was Minkah Fitzpatrick with the Dolphins. But you know what? It's not interceptions or anything that's getting him as all his points. It's tackles. What does that tell me? That tells me that ball carriers are consistently getting to the second level on the Dolphins defense. That bodes well for the New York Jets. I'm looking forward to a really good game tomorrow, a much better game than our first matchup. We actually have a quarterback who will throw the ball this time. And our defense is playing much better. So I'm really looking forward to getting after Tua and getting after that team tomorrow. As I said, can't stand the Dolphins. If we only win one more game the rest of the way, let it be tomorrow. Let it be against that team. And I wanted to talk a lot about that game tonight because we've been spending so much time talking about the draft. And it's like November, December, and we're already talking draft. Hell, a lot of us started talking draft in October this year, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I enjoy doing the research. I'm a nerd at heart. I love doing my homework, love doing the research, love digging in on all these prospects. And something funny happened to me earlier this afternoon. I was sitting here, was watching the Addison show on YouTube and talking to the guys, and I had to run out for a while and go to the store. Well, I decided to go back over to, my old neighborhood. And I mean, like, literally, this was my neighborhood. I lived right across the street practically from the USF campus. And that apartment complex, there was, at the time that I lived there was a convenience store and a bar that were like in the same building next door to each other. Right before I moved out, the bar ended up closing down. But while the bar was open, I met and hung out with Mike Jenkins, who started as a receiver, ended up being a DB, and ended up going on to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Also, Anthony Henry, who ended up playing DB for the Cleveland Browns, later went to the Cowboys. And at one point, I watched a Cowboys game that had both Anthony Henry and Mike Jenkins as their two starting corners, two guys that I had met. At any rate, the point being, I was back in my old neighborhood, and I stopped at that convenience store. And I went in, grabbed a couple of things. Well, as I was starting to make my way to the counter, I see this guy that was at the counter paying for whatever the hell he bought. And there were like a couple of people had started to gather around him. And like we're kind of making a big deal. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this? What is going on? And the guy walked out, and as I walked up to the counter, I was like, the cashier kid was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that just happened." And so I asked him, I was like, "What? Why? What? Who the hell was that?" He tells me that was Brian Hartline, brother, something like that, I guess is here. Needless to say, it turns out that I guess Brian Hartline, the guy who has developed all these receivers that we watch for Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Emeka Ibuka. Apparently, he has taken the job to come here and coach for the USF Bulls. And I was like, really? No crap. And so when I got home, I looked it up, and yes, it's true. And I was like, man, that's crazy. he's had so much success at Ohio State. It was hard for me to picture him leaving. So, but I looked it up, and yes, it's true. So that's kind of cool for the local team here. Anyways, that was just a quick weird thing that happened today. Back to the Dolphins. This is not a great team by any stretch. They are very beatable. I look for our pass rush to have success this week. I'm real excited to see Azareye'h Thomas as he continues to develop. There's a lot that I'm liking about the direction of this team. I'm really hoping that A.D. Mitchell can pick up where he left off last week. And I'm really hoping that he can turn into a major contributor for us. I read the comments from Tanner Engstrom last night where he was saying that he cannot wait to have Garrett Wilson back and to see him and Mitchell and Mechie and all those guys on the field together. And I echo that sentiment. I can't wait either. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if this guy that the Colts cast aside that well, they didn't really cast him aside. We demanded he be part of the trade smartly, in my opinion. Wouldn't it be nice if he really developed into that competent number two that we've all been screaming for, and we don't have to use a draft pick on that? Now, I still want to add a receiver regardless, but man, his separation ability, contested catch ability, like that's something that's much needed. And he's a bigger body guy. Exactly the kind of guy that we've been saying that we want across from Garrett. It would be really nice if he turns out to be that guy and we don't have to draft one. Everybody, once again, thanks for joining me. Hit that like button. If you have not already, please subscribe to the channel. We're still a new fledgling channel, still growing, but we are 2 subscribers away from hitting our first 200. So if you haven't subbed to the channel yet, please do so. And we got a lot of good stuff coming up. I don't want to announce any guests until I've confirmed them, but in the next 2 weeks, hopefully we should have 2 really good guests coming on. And as soon as I get confirmation from both of them, I will let you guys know. I'm also working to try to get Dylan Terriman, who was our very first guest, to come back onto the show. And I know during the off season, especially leading up to the draft, I'm going to have him back on, as well as some other people, to talk some draft with us and break down some prospects, break down some film. But yeah, Peter, good to see you, man. Thank you for joining me. Fox, Mess, everybody. Thanks. I appreciate all you guys so much, especially you guys who are here every single show, and you know who you are. At any rate, I'm probably gonna keep this show kind of short because I know a lot of people are watching college football today and don't want people to miss the games. I want to watch some of the games myself. Mike D's Nuts, what's up, dude? Good to see you as well. But I got a caller. So on that note, let me bring him on. And let's hear what you guys have to think. Tony, what's up, man?
How you doing, Ricky? Nice. First time I seen your show, I subscribed. And, I seen you on the Jake show a lot. And you always have nice things to say there about the Jets, And
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm just I think we're all so happy with this the new GM, these blockbuster trades. I mean, these add-ons, like we're not desperate for a receiver no more. I mean, the only thing I'm a little upset, I don't know for sure, but I think Mechie 2 games ago was sensational, and I think he was hanging out with Lazard and caught the butterfingers instead of the ball.
Yeah.
You know, but the other thing was just to see Mitchell last week, the separation. I mean, we got a receiver there. I mean, if he keeps on going, my goodness, it's going to be great. And how do you feel like? For the first time, I feel confident. Like last year, I was very upset with the draft at the later ends, trading up. But I'm changed since seeing this because I know Muji's going to have his scouts in there, and I don't think he's going to be making these lame trades. The ones we traded up for. That's the only thing. But it was his first mistake. But I think we're going to get. I feel more confident that we're going to get some good players to fix the holes on the Titanic.
I do as well, and the thing about that is because I've heard that criticism before, and yes, we did trade up to get Tyler Barron, and he has turned out to be seriously disappointing. However, that was a 5th round pick. Those guys rarely make the team anyway. Those are usually practice squad guys. In the past, we were mad because we couldn't hit on like a 3rd round pick. And now all of a sudden we are expecting our 5th round pick to be starters. Like doesn't really seem fair to Aaron Glenn. But going back to what you were saying, the receivers, they're coming in, they're learning a new system. And I can't remember which player it was that was talking about it. But they were saying, like, hell, every once in a while we call a play that those guys haven't even run in practice yet. And they've got to ask, like, what's the route? And so, Mitchell started off with a bad case of the drops. Then he kind of caught on, and Mechie got the drops. But, like, those guys are both still fairly new to the system and fairly new to the team, getting used to their teammates. So, I'll give them a little bit of pass on that, but the separation, like you mentioned with Mitchell, it is fantastic. And I read where he's number 4 in the league with average separation score, the ASS score. You know what? It's nice to be able to say that one of our receivers is ASS and say it in a good context. They got to think of a better name for that, by the way. But, yeah, his separation is very impressive. I scouted him coming out of college. That's one of the things I really liked about him. And I think we got a hell of a player. I think we got a real steal there.
Yeah, I mean, these add-on players were unbelievable. The only one that didn't work out was the one from Dallas, but we got 3 add-on players, three major trades and 3 add-on. And the little trades before, those other add-on guys like Brownlee, very good. I mean, everything is just working for us, like with Muji so far. I mean, but another point that no one talks about is because I know Brees was on the shopping block, and Muji wouldn't back down from a 3rd, and we kept him, and he just wouldn't back down. Whatever happens, but. He stood his ground. I really admire that. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I know that it was reported that they wouldn't accept anything less than a 3rd for Brees, but honestly, I'm really wondering if they would have moved him even if that offer had come in. Because Aaron Glenn, like, there were rumors of Brees moving on, like, from the beginning of the year. And even in camp, Aaron Glenn said, no, he's going to be a big part of what we do. He's my guy. He's not going anywhere. He hasn't wavered on that all along. And after the deadline passed, Aaron Glenn said, Brees is my guy. He's not going anywhere. And when Aaron Glenn says something, I tend to believe him. The only thing that Aaron Glenn has said that, has turned out not to be true is we're going to win this year, which that's what any coach is supposed to say. Like no coach is going to go to the podium and say, well, we're going to start tearing this thing down and rebuilding it. I don't expect to win much. Like, coaches are never going to say that. The other thing would be his backing of Justin Fields. And I get it from a coach's perspective. He's trying to build the kid's confidence and stuff and get all he can out of him. Unfortunately, Fields turned out to just be the wrong guy. He has regressed. He was uncoachable, and now he just doesn't want to do anything to contribute. Good riddance. I will not be sorry to see him go. Seems like a nice kid, but mentally, I just don't think he's got the backbone for it.
But I was really, excuse me a second. I was just upset that Glenn kept on dealing with them all this time. I mean, he had to cut the umbilical cord like a month and a half earlier or something. I mean, the guy's been atrocious, And
I feel the same way.
I just don't know why he was kept on putting him out there and putting up this, this fake hype that he's our best. He's not our best. The best as a coach, you got to put the best player on the field. And if you're not performing, you belong on the bench.
I completely agree. I think he stuck with him too long. However, it has come out that if Tyrod would have been healthy, he would have started the Cincinnati game for us. So we might have gotten rid of Fields like 3 weeks earlier, but unfortunately, Tyrod just wasn't healthy. And then Fields won the Cincinnati and the Cleveland games. God, I really wish there were more teams from Ohio this year, the way the year's going. But
and I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that Brady Cook's backup. I know, to tell you the truth, I really liked Adrian Martinez. I thought he was the best quarterback on the squad, but they made their decision. But the thing is, it's like a win-win situation here because Tyrod, we know he's going to get hurt, but thank God he's playing under a good offensive line, which is stellar. But the thing is, if he does get hurt, Cook goes in there, and then you have Engstrom that will learn to coach a young quarterback. So he'll win, and hopefully we don't know what we have with Cook. I just hope that he could at least be a backup in the future or something, but it'll be something better than Fields. We know that for sure. Whatever it is, we know it's going to be better than Fields. That's a guarantee.
Yeah. Now, Cook obviously doesn't have the running ability, the physical ability that Fields has, but he's got the willingness, man. He's a competitor and he wants to go out there and play. And so if nothing else, I know we'll see effort from him. Now, the truth of the matter is Brady Cook wasn't great in college. He went undrafted for a reason. Like, I'm pretty sure I know what we've got in Brady Cook, and I'm not really expecting much. I really hope that Tyrod can stay healthy for the remainder of the season. Now, if we get to the end of the year and we're still sitting 2-3 wins, play it, week 17, halftime, we're not winning. Go ahead, put Cook in. Let him play that last game and a half, and let's see if there is anything there. But really, I'm kind of just hoping that Tyrod will stay healthy for the remainder of the run.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you this question because I just caught you at the end of the show, but maybe you answered it in the show or not. But I'm just hoping that we don't trade up. And do you find any of these quarterbacks that sensational? Because I personally think we should just pick and choose them, or maybe even, God willing, because if Allah falls like to the fourth or something, or pick up somebody, because he was supposed to be the first one, and he dropped so much. But
Aller has kind of really regressed this year. He has not looked good. His footwork is a mess, and apologies, I just had the lamp fall over on me. I wouldn't be stoked about that. Now, I don't want to. It's weird with trading up. Now, if we have to trade all the way from like 7 or 8 to 1, it's going to cost us a fortune, and I would really, really rather not do that. Now, if we're talking moving like 7-3 or 7-4, and the guy they want is there, and it doesn't cost us that much, say instead of giving up our other first this year, we give up one of those seconds instead. Like I would be okay with that, but I just don't want to give up a fortune. I really want Mendoza personally. It seems like that's the guy that the Jets have kind of zeroed in on. But I'll tell you, both of the quarterbacks that I like are playing at 8 o'clock tonight. You got Mendoza, and I'm really curious to see how he does against Ohio State and that defense. The other player that I really like is Darian Mensah from Duke. If we don't get our guy, with our first pick, I would be perfectly okay taking Mensah with one of our seconds. He kind of reminds me of Chad Pennington, like pre-injury Chad Pennington.
Wow, yeah, pick that boy. We can have a young Chad that would be good without the injuries. That'd be beautiful.
Yeah, and so I really like, those are my two guys, Mendoza and Mensah. And so if we can't get Mendoza, then I say we just wait it out and, towards the end of the second or trade back up into the third and get Mensah there. That's what I personally would do. Now, we all know the Jets are going to do what the Jets are going to do, regardless of what any of us want. But, that's what I would do in that situation.
And do you think there might be any possibility for like a trade down from, let's say we get 7? Do you think anyone that would want to trade up or not really? Right? It's either like the first couple and that's it, right?
You know what? It really depends. Now, aside from the quarterbacks, I definitely expect both Arvell Reese and Ruben Bain to go in the top 5. And so, but then from there, it really depends, like how the draft unfolds. Like if there's a team that really, really likes Carnell Tate or something, maybe they'd be willing to give us their first and their second to move up a few slots and grab him. And in that instance, if the quarterback we really wanted isn't there, I would absolutely do that and move back, as long as we're not moving back too far.
Right. But I like what Moody did because we lost a third from JD with the Reddick thing, and he replaced the third with the second. So that wound up good. I mean, he's done us good so far. I don't think we're going to be staying on the bottom of the water no more. I think we're going to be moving upward there. And even Glenn improved last week with the challenge on that. I didn't even think I thought maybe it was a waste of a challenge on that when it became 4th and 1, and he saw something that because we're watching from TV, but he got it wasn't a 4th down. He won the challenge and got the first down. Remember that play last week? Against Atlanta?
Watching from TV, you could see that the ball was across the line, but for whatever reason, the refs on the field, maybe their angle wasn't as good. Like they were acting like it wasn't. And I mean, Glenn's whole demeanor, he's like, "Oh, come on, man!" And you hear the sound bites. He's like, "I don't like that look. I don't like the look you're making." But he was right to challenge, and it was a first down, and I think everybody saw it. I like that. He's had his issues with the timeouts and time management as the year has unfolded. However, he is a rookie head coach.
He's improving, though. He's improving.
Yes,
we see improvement. So we can't say that about Fowler. He just stood there like a statue,
Yeah, and Glenn definitely lets his emotions show. And the team is improving, the roster is improving, and every critique we had about this roster, Michael Carter wasn't necessarily critiqued, but he wasn't performing well. He traded for Brownlee and unloaded Carter's contract, which is awesome. I've said this a million times. Like when Glenn took this job and initially decided, on the guys that he was keeping, the guys that were here, all he had was tape to base it on. He didn't know the guys. He didn't know their personalities, didn't know their work ethics. As he's been here, I think he's figured out, like, damn, Tony Adams really isn't coachable. He stinks. You know,
Oh,
Clements is
speaking on that, is he bringing? I heard they bought an undrafted free agent. Well, what happened to the guy we had sitting on the practice squad, Dean Clark, who was good in preseason? Why wasn't he put in instead of this guy Tony Adams?
I don't get too carried away with guys that look good in preseason, because you got to remember those guys are normally going against like fourth, fifth stringers and guys that aren't going to make the team that they're on. So I'm not really that, worked up about that, but every deficiency that we had, like, we were like, oh, we need another guy next to Quinnen. He brought in not one, but two defensive tackles, and it actually made Quinnen expendable. We needed a number 2 receiver. He thought he could get something out of the young guys that were here. None of them really developed or progressed how they had hoped. He traded for 2 more guys. Like every hole that we had in the roster that was fixable this year, they have fixed. I really like the moves they made, the improvements they've made. And so, I've got faith in this regime. I like what Muji's been doing. And, as far as trusting him to pick the players, hell, every player we drafted last year, with the exception of Tyler Barron, has started games for us this year. Most of them are starters. Like Kiko's a rotational linebacker. But other than that, everybody but Barron is starting right now. Like, that's a much higher percentage than most teams. I got no worries letting these guys pick our draft picks.
Yeah, because especially like that guy Briggs we got for the defensive line. I mean, that guy's a real keeper. I hope his contract's up at the end of the year. He's definitely a keeper,
I want to say he's either an exclusive rights free agent or a restricted free agent, one of the two. But there's a way they can keep him, and I'm sure that they will. Over the last couple of weeks, he's ranked like right behind Quinnen as far as run stops, sacks. And it's like, damn, we got rid of Quinnen, but there really hasn't been that much of a drop off in production. So I'm perfectly okay with it. Quinnen was obviously checked out and not giving his best effort when he was here. And you know what? If you're not all in, then you need to be all out.
Right. And speaking about all out, what about that guy that was like that? I don't think he contributed to the play. That young guy who was playing. And he did that stupid penalty. He looked like he was humping the turf.
Oh, McCrary Ball, the linebacker. He's played some, and he's been okay or whatever. But yeah, that penalty was absolutely atrocious, stupid. Like, man, these guys really got to get better and more creative with some of their celebrations, because that was awful.
He wasn't a draft pick, that guy. He was somebody they just brought in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have to be bought out soon too. This is unacceptable, stupid stuff.
You know what? We definitely need to add 1 linebacker, if not 2. And I'll tell you what, that second first round pick that we have is going to come in very handy. And if I had my way, the guy we'd be using that pick on is Sonny Styles, who will be playing at 8:00 tonight. Absolutely love that kid. Linebacker from Ohio State. It is so fast. He's a demon, and he can cover. It's like all the speed and intensity of Quincy Williams, but like the cerebral part of Mosley, where like it's not all that ability, and he's playing out of control. He's like in control. So.
Total focus, right?
Yeah. So that's what I would do. If it was me, I would stick and pick, with the first pick. Second pick, I'd pick Styles. Third pick, I would take Dylan Thieneman, the free safety from Oregon, who's an absolute stud and ball hawk. And
wow.
I would make this defense one to be feared again.
That sounds like a good plan, Ricky. I hope it comes to pass.
I do too, man. And dude, thank you so much for calling in, man. I appreciate it. And don't
Likewise,
waste later.
likewise. Nice two-way street here. Thank you, Rick.
All right, man. Thank you, Tony. Have a great night, man.
God bless.
All right. And next up, I'm going to cheat and guess that he's inside, but it's Kyle Clifton. How's it going, man?
What's going on, Ricky? How are you, man?
Oh, just kind of hanging out and passing the time, and till we can all sit down and watch Mendoza and see how he does against the best defense in college football.
Yeah, I have it on here and with the volume down, but I like the new background. It's very Van Halen.
Yeah. You know what? AI is a wonderful thing. I've been having a lot of fun with that this week, and that was one of the first backgrounds I made when I started doing it. I was like, take this picture and replace the red with green. And at first they made the black stripes green as well, and it looked kind of weird. And I was like, that's not what I told you to do. But it's a new relationship. We're still getting to know each other. So
Yeah, you go. Yeah, I hear what you're saying about Styles. I mean, he's got the pedigree. Not that that means a whole lot when you get to the league. But I mean, you look at a guy like Quincy. He went to, I think, Murray State. You're talking about a guy, Sonny Styles, is playing the top level of competition
yeah.
and showing it every week. Yeah, I think that would be a great second pick. There's no doubt about it. The problem is, what are we going to do with the first pick? I'm very, I guess with Mendoza, we're going to see tonight, and in the playoff, if they make it, you know, what exactly this guy could be. I want to see him playing against the top teams, against the top competition, and proving it out there before we go and trade up for him. Because we can do it. No, there's very few other teams that have the ability to do it the way we do. But I'm not completely sold on it. I mean, Simpson really did not help his stock today.
No, not a, I mean, in all fairness to him, that offensive line did not play well. They could not stop the blitz at all, and he was running for his life for what of it I watched anyway.
And they couldn't run the ball at all. So
yeah, so like it'd be kind of hard to judge him on that, but at the same time, like he's going to be playing NFL caliber defenses every week, so there's going to be some rough going, and it would have been nice to see him like get the short passing game going to kind of counteract that blitz, but
he's a little bit better in the second half. He had a little bit of luck, but it wasn't what you would have liked to have seen by a guy who's going to be considered, one of the top few quarterbacks coming out, and that we might have a chance at getting. A guy like Big Shea, who I follow pretty closely, was raving about his ability to process. He has not been great lately. Towards the tail end of the season, he's been lesser.
No, I think his stock is dropping as well.
Yeah, I'm actually a big Dante Moore guy. We'll see how that goes and whether he comes out. To me, I don't see that there's any chance that he doesn't, because if you see Simpson dropping and you see his offensive coordinator leaving, and he's sitting there with a 70% completion rate in a kind of a dearth class where there's a dearth of guys at the top, I mean, what are you sticking around for?
Yeah, and the other thing is if the quarterback class next year really is as loaded as everybody says, do you want to go from being like the number 1 or number 2 quarterback to being the number 4 or 5 guy? And the difference in, being a first round pick or the end of the first round, early second, I mean, that's millions of dollars we're talking about. I think there's a good chance that Moore does come out. And I like Moore too. The whole thing with trading up, it just, for me, it depends. It depends. How far are you having to trade up, and how much are you having to give up to do it?
Right.
Like I'm okay moving up, 3, maybe 4 spots, and maybe giving up one of those seconds or something. I don't want to give up our other first round. I don't want to give up a first round next year or this year. Maybe that's just me being greedy. But you've always got really good football takes, and you've got a good football mind. Let me ask you this. I said it earlier. I don't know if you were here for it or not, but my two guys personally, and this was assuming that Moore wasn't there or doesn't come out. Like, I like Mendoza, but I also like Darian Mensah a lot. So if it was me, if Mendoza isn't there or we decide not to trade up, I personally would be okay with using maybe one of those seconds or trading back up into the third and taking Mensah. To me, he reminds me of like pre-injury Chad Pennington. And right now, I would take that on this team.
I would not be surprised at all if they take one of those seconds and move back to get into the third round. That's just me. But we'll see. I don't know where they have Mensah rated. I haven't seen him at all. But I hear people talking very highly of him. If you're going to take a guy that is not Mendoza or Moore, I think it's got to be on day 2 in this draft, because I think there are a lot of guys that have the ability that for whatever reason didn't necessarily play well this year, or they played well, or they played well at a smaller school or less of a football program like Duke.
Right.
And it's something where you want to take a chance on developing a guy, and it's going to take a little bit of time, and you're going to roll Tyrod out there or insert quarterback here for 5 or 6 games while that happens, right? And when he gets acclimated. So we'll see. It's just it's nice to not have to force it. I know that there's a thought out there that we have to get the quarterback this year. I do not agree with that. I think that Glenn has a lot of leash from this owner, because he wouldn't have let him make those trades midseason unless he had a lot of leash.
Yeah.
That's
I personally like Julian Sayin a whole lot myself too, the Ohio State quarterback. And I know with Tate and Smith and those guys, like those receivers can make a quarterback look good, but still he's thrown some nice balls to those guys. Mensah right now is kind of lumped in with Nussmeier and Sellers as anywhere from kind of the middle of the second to the early third as far as where he's ranked. But not the biggest arm, but very smart, very accurate. That's why I drew the Chad comparison. But if we had a really stellar defense again, which I think will happen as we bring in more of Glenn's kind of guys, I think we could be very successful with a quarterback like that. So I'm curious to watch him tonight. But, dude, I'm going to be paying very close attention to that Ohio State game because aside from Mendoza, you got Sonny Styles, you got, Caden McDonald, you got there's a few guys on Ohio State that I'm curious to see how they perform. Even Kenyatta Walker Kenyatta Jackson rather, as like a later round pass rushing depth. There's a lot of guys that I want to watch in that game.
Right. And after this week, we're pretty much done with college for a little while, except for the only game in town next week. Go Navy. That's my parting shot. I'll talk to you soon, Rickie.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Kyle. Have a great night, man.
Take care.
Yeah, and you know what? Here we go. It's going to be, like he said, this is going to be our last college football for a little while, but we're going to get a real good look at Mendoza tonight, and we're going to really see what he's made of because the speed and intensity of that Ohio State defense is just a whole nother level compared to other teams. There's a reason that they're number one right now, and and their offense is good. They're gonna put up points. So Mendoza's gonna have to be on top of his game if they want to stay in it. So I can't wait for that game. We're only like 12 minutes away, 13 minutes away, something like that. I'm excited to watch that and get a good look. And, during commercials, I'll probably flip over to the Duke game. And I'm actually TiVoing the Duke game. And actually, I'm TiVoing both, but on two different TVs. But I'm going to rewatch the Duke game later. But I'm real curious to watch and see how this goes. And, I've said it several times. I'll repeat it. As far as trading up goes, it depends how far we have to move and what it will cost to do there. I am not opposed to maybe giving up one of our seconds to move up a couple of slots, but I don't want to give up a first, not next year, and certainly not this year in order to do it. But at the end of the day, it's up to the Jets. And if we get the guy, if we do trade up, we just got to make sure he's the guy. Once again, thank you to everybody for joining me. One last note. I was saying that we were probably going to be doing the raffle in the last show for our women's shirt that we're giving away. However, I've been putting it off. I've still got to touch base with him this week, but I'm hoping to have Jake Asman on this Thursday. I'm going to touch base with him in the beginning of the week, and as long as he's available, I'll try to get him on. And if he does come on, I'm going to have Jake select the winner. Like, I'm going to just number the people entered and have him pick a number. And so I'm going to get him to pick the winner while he's here. If not, then you know what? I may just have a caller do it. So at any rate, that'll be coming up on the next show. And thank you. Supporting me, but let's all go and hopefully get a good look at our future quarterback and enjoy the games tonight. Everybody have a great night, and until later, go Jets.